More cows, less money invested in them. That's right.
Yep. The more cattle you can run. That's back to our density.
Yep.
Yeah. The more cattle, by properly grazing,
Mm-hmm.
using your stocking density as a tool to increase your stocking rate, you're going to be more profitable per acre because you can run more animals per acre than your neighbors. So, for example, the county average here is about 5 acres per animal unit, and we're down to 2.5, 3 acres per animal unit.
It's around 2.
Yeah.
370.
Yep.
And 721 or something. We calculated it out, the paddock size.
Yeah.
Which part of it is timber too. Some of those paddocks.
We could go to the grazing chart and I have the number right there, how many acres we've got, grazable acres in total.
And then you have the animal units too.
Yep. You can easily figure. I think it's on the chart.
It'd be more than 2 acres because it's 264.
I think it's like 2.5, 3. It's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
2 is like, so this is another discussion to get into, but like you can, like, the closer when you're getting around 2, it's this weird like magic zone where if you go too low, like if you're going, like if you start to dip like below 2 acres per animal unit, weird stuff starts to happen. Is in like you're playing with fire. Like your margin of error is so small when it comes to screwing up, because if your grazing isn't like perfectly lined out, like you're butting right up against being overstocked, and the only thing that's keeping you appropriately stocked is the fact that you're perfectly timing your rotation so that you're coming back around when the grass starts to kick. So like if something happens that you don't anticipate, in the winter or in a drought or like whatever, like if something comes around that you don't anticipate, like bad growing conditions or it's super wet, so you're not getting the most out of like certain areas of your farm or whatever. If you're pushed right up against that like maximum capacity at around 2 acres or whatever, like you have to be so on it, because you will overgraze your farm so quickly if you're right up against that. So like it's almost better to be like it's always better to run more animals, but you just have to be really on your game if you're butting right up against that 2 acres.
It's like a process. The longer you do it, the closer you'll get to 2 acres, and then you just keep increasing and then as you're increasing, your experience and knowledge in the subject is increasing and stuff too. So Ian's at like an acre per cow.
Yeah, I mean when I was saying 2, I mean like for here.
Right.
It obviously like Arizona is going to be totally different from here.
Yeah.
Africa, South Africa is going to be totally different from here.
Ian thinks that Greg can get down to an acre per cow.
An acre per cow.
It's like it takes cattle to grow. It's like the chicken or the egg. It takes cows to go grow grass, but it takes grass to feed cattle.
Yeah.
Or to grow cattle.
So it's somewhere in that transition you're going to be feeding a ton of hay before
but then once you get the grass to where, So this kind of goes back to the whole stocking density, where like the bigger. So think of it this way: you could have 20 cows, and Greg has 370, and we're stocking. We're grazing them at 60,000 pounds per acre. Well, with your 20 animal units, 20 cows, at 20,000 animal units, let's say you want to get the same stocking density, 16,000 pounds. So you take those 20 cows and shrink them down to a third of an acre, and that's your move, every day or every day you're moving them a third of an acre to get the same stocking density that we're doing here. The difference is you've got a 20 horsepower engine and we've got a 370 horsepower engine.
Yep.
So
it's
the more cattle you have, the bigger engine you have, the quicker you're going to turn your grass around, the better you're going to do on the land. So even if your density is stocked the same, which I hate saying this because it's like telling people to buy more and like overstock their farm, but it's not that. It's like a balance kind of.
And obviously it's not. It's like it's not that simple. It's like you can't just. It's totally context dependent, because you're not just going to be able to keep adding cattle, and just grow more grass infinitely. Like you're going to reach a peak of your soil capacity, a peak of your environment or whatever, where like that is about as maxed out as far as plant density that you can get on a given acre. And like that's where you're going to top out at, like you're not going to really be able to run any more animals on that set like acreage. So, but it's something to think about, you know.
Yeah.
Like you should always just be
and
monitoring
it's very,
that kind of stuff.
like you were saying, it's very location dependent.
Yep.
Like Arizona, you're never going to be able to get to
2 acres per
1
animal
acre,
unit,
let
not
alone
even close.
5 acres per animal unit, probably.
Like if your county is stocked at like 250 acres per animal unit or whatever, like it would be unbelievable if you could get it down to 70, and that would be like crazy for here. You know, like if you just start talking about numbers, it's ridiculous. Like on 70 acres, you could run one. Let's just say on 70 acres you could run one cow or 5 sheep, right? And here on 70 acres, you could run like whatever 30 to 40 cows, 30 cows,
Or
3 times 5, 150 ewes.
yeah.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
150 ewes, which is
Yeah.
like as big as our sheep flock is. So
Yeah.
like that's nuts, right?
Yeah.
But that would be like a massive accomplishment if your stocking rate is 250 acres per animal unit or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's just
all-
super context dependent. But that's the beauty of the whole thing.
Yep.